pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 2, we will call to order the May 21st, 2026 Village Board meeting. Roll call shows trustees are present. Carrie is on the phone. Staff is present except for Allie, and she is excused, and Attorney Fluff is here also. For agenda changes, we will put 10A and B before 9A. 5, consent agenda. A, May 7th, 2026 regular board meeting minutes. B, licenses and permits as presented. And C, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. If there are no questions, I would need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
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 Carrie.
Aye.
Motion carried. 6, pre-registered citizens to be heard. Are there any?
No.
Okay. We will go to 7A, committee reports. A, library board. Carrie, do you have anything to say, or we do have Allie's report?
Yeah, just that I think I didn't see your report. The library's book sales, they made over $3,000 for Friends of the Hortonville Library. So that was really nice. So.
Okay, thank you. 8, school district presentation, district update. Todd Tim.
Good. Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me again, Jim. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Appreciate the time again each year, so thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy in the spring. Just like each year to go to our municipal board meetings and give an update on the school district. So I put together a packet that looks similar to previous years. For people that don't know me, newly elected to the board, I'm Todd Tim. I'm District Administrator of the Hortonville Area School District. So. I put our academic results in the beginning. Those academic results can be found on the Department of Public Instruction website. So if you want to dig a little bit deeper per school in the district, or you want to dig a little bit deeper on those core areas, if you just go and Google wisconsindpi.gov, you can see all the academic results of every school, every public school district in the state of Wisconsin. There's 421 of them. Looks like a couple of those are going to consolidate or shut down here in the near future. Hustisburg, some others in the northwest, and possibly the southwest. So we may have fewer public school districts next year when I report to you. So academic results, core area of academic achievement is the first one. Hortonville Area School District has about 4,200 students. Of the 421 districts in the state of Wisconsin, from an enrollment perspective, in the top 30 from an enrollment perspective. Unique school district because there's not a kind of a city hub in that, but a high enrollment district in the state of Wisconsin. So of those 421 school districts in the state of Wisconsin, the district scored the same or higher than 85% of those in reading and mathematics in the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction school report card. They also report out something that's called target group outcomes. For us, that's mainly students in poverty. Not as diverse as some other districts of the same size in Wisconsin. But for us, if you don't meet a certain economic indicator in the DPI report card, it measures you against other school districts on how you're doing with some of those subgroups. And for us, that's kids in poverty. So that second bullet point, the district scored the same or higher than 83% of Wisconsin's school districts in that target group. Mainly for us, that's kids that are in poverty. On track to high school graduation is the third measurement in the Wisconsin DPI report card that measures things like attendance. It measures items like your graduation rate. Sure you all attended last night. There wasn't a empty seat in the house, so hopefully you watched on YouTube or you attended last night. Outside, it was great. We had people traveling, could have it outside. The bleachers were packed, and we were packed along the fence line last night. And I think that's a key sign of how our community supports our school district. It's great to see. In our small village here, you know, we had upwards of over 4,000 people at the graduation ceremony last night, not counting people that were watching on YouTube. My youngest graduated. That means I'm dang old, and I've been around a while. We brought him here in kindergarten, and you all have created a village, and our schools that have built him. He's going into the trades, just finished a plumbing apprentice, so thank you for all you do, because you helped us with him, my youngest. So the district scored the same or higher in than 93% of Wisconsin school districts in the on track to graduation section of the DPI report card. Some of the other things that we see in the district that not really measured in that DPI report card and maybe are a little bit different than when you and I went to school is we see great increases in youth apprenticeship. So we have our kids, especially our juniors and seniors, that aren't in school like we used to be. Several juniors and seniors that might only attend one block of school a day and are out working at youth apprenticeships, taking classes at Fox Valley Technical College at night or on the weekend, or one full day during the academic year. And that's a trend that is increasing. In our scholarship night, which was 2 weeks ago, we had community donors and scholarships and assistance that rose above $1.5 million for our graduating class of 2026. So the first time that we've broken that mark. And I think that's another data point of how supportive our community is and our businesses are of our graduates here in Hortonville. We've also, last year I reported to you, even though our achievement's very high, we've been kind of stagnant in literacy. It hasn't been an upward trend. It's been kind of even. So last year we flipped how we teach reading, kind of back to how we used to learn, through sounds, through the alphabet, through learning those combination sounds first. So I'll be really interested in our trajectory in the next couple of years because we flipped the way that we teach reading to our youngest learners. Our math growth scores are extremely positive. So we're seeing significant math growth scores in 3rd grade and 8th grade into sophomore year. We have a backbone resource that we use 4K through 12th grade in math, and we think that that's led to some success with our mathematics scores. In fact, HES got the highest score you could get on the report card in math growth, and HMS was slightly above GMS in their academic achievement in math in this last cycle. I know municipal boards love the money, so I put together a couple financial slides for you in there. I tried to include some new stuff just on total levy, but if you look at the next sheet there is just a 20-year snapshot of the mill rate. So just as a reminder, and I think most of you know, but as a reminder, public schools are funded basically about 2/3 from the state and almost 1/3 from local property tax dollars. There's a little bit of federal funding in there for us. Some districts get more federal funding than what we get. It's mainly on a socioeconomic indicator, how much federal funding you get. So for us, it's about 2/3 from the state, a little less than 1/3 from local property tax dollars, and what makes up the difference is some federal funds. Those are called title dollars, based on a socioeconomic indicator, so we have some Title I schools. HES is a Title I school because it qualifies on an economic indicator. There you receive some additional federal funds than what you'd receive, but you have to spend it in that school. You can't spend it outside of that particular school. So you may see more reading intervention allowed at HES because it qualifies for Title I and it gets additional federal dollars. But a quick snapshot there of the mill rate locally for our school district and the school district portion of the property taxes. We're in the middle of which you all know, a 2-year state budget. We run on that July 1 through June 30th budget. I think you guys may run on a calendar like January 1 budget. So ours is a little bit different. Our CPI in that July 1 to June 30th budget was 263, that inflationary rate. In the last cycle, we received plus $325 per pupil, generally equates to about $1 million. If you look at our population, about $1 million. So if we do the 263 for employees, that'd be about $1 million. But as you know, because you have employees yourself, health benefits and things like that are increasing at more rapid rates, especially for us recently. We have a board policy that says we have to keep 20% in an emergency fund. We call that a fund balance. We generally keep between 25 and 28% in there. Part of the reason is for emergencies. The other part of the reason is our fiscal year, July 1 through June 30th, we don't receive some of the tax dollars, our revenue, till the middle of that fiscal year. So if we didn't have that fund balance, we'd have to short-term borrow to meet payroll, which a lot of districts in the state of Wisconsin have to, but then you're paying interest to meet payroll. So we have a fund balance that generally runs between kind of mid-20s to upper 20s, and we don't have to short-term borrow or pay interest to meet payroll. So that's the purpose behind that. If you ever hear someone say, well, the school district has, a fund balance, a savings account of that amount, yes, but they also don't have to pay interest to meet short-term obligations like payroll. So we think that's a really responsible policy that our school board keeps and handles for the school district. It also holds administrators accountable because you cannot spend above that dollar amount. So you're accountable to your budget because we're not going to short-term borrow. State of Wisconsin, as you know, has a $2 billion rainy day account. A couple weeks ago, they reported it was projected at the end of their fiscal year on June 30th to have an additional $2.5 billion on top of the rainy day account. Seemed to be a consensus between Speaker Voss, Majority Leader LeMahieu, and Governor Evers to give some of that money back to property taxpayers in rebate checks, $300 for single property taxpayers, $600 for married property taxpayers. Give some relief in the school formula so the plus 325 wasn't on the back of property taxpayers next year, and then give some additional funding for special ed throughout the state. Whizzed through the assembly a week and a half ago. Leadership in both parties in each of those branches supported it. Governor Evers supported it, probably one of the only bipartisan things that we've seen in the last 8 years, and then it crumbled in the state Senate. So it lost out in the state Senate. Personally, my opinion, if I give an opinion that's not facts, I'll try and say my opinion. In my opinion, it would have been a great thing because it would have helped our property taxpayers, helps our relationship with our constituents and property taxpayers. It gave a little bit more for special ed funding. And the way I explain it to people is we get $11,650 per pupil. It's the lowest amount in the state of Wisconsin. We're called a low revenue district. There's some that get the same, but there's some districts like Gibraltar, Nicolay, when you're driving down to a Brewer game, off of 41, that might get like $22,000 per pupil or $23,000 per pupil. We're a low revenue district based on a law in 1993 that's just froze on property taxes and put in spending caps. So some students, we get $11,650. Some students cost about $8,000 to educate. And I hate to think about students that way, but sometimes we have to. But then we have students that have cardiac issues. We have students that may have nonverbal autism. We have students with significant special needs that may need a one-on-one nurse to be at school. That may cost $125,000 to educate. So when we talk about things like special ed reimbursement for us at 42%, that's a really, really important number because we're responsible to educate every child no matter their disability, whether that's a physical disability or behavioral disability. So. Low revenue district on the next slide. The why behind that is if you just Google spending caps in 1993 in Wisconsin, there's more information, or if you ever want to sit down and chat for an hour or two at the district or wherever you want to meet and chat, I'd be happy to go through the history of that with you. Talk a little bit about special education funding. You're probably seeing throughout Wisconsin about 80%-ish districts that are either under operational referendum to meet their current operations, asking the taxpayers to go above that spending cap, or that were just on the ballot in the spring to go above that. We're not one of those. So we haven't gone to operational referendum in the time that I've been with the district in the last 13 years. We're pretty proud of that. Pretty proud that we stay within our budget, we retain our employees, And at this point, we haven't gone to operational referendum, even though we're a low revenue district, to exceed that cap. If we keep going, there's a gap, a recent history gap in what the state gave to schools. That was, if you think back to ESSER funds and COVID, no matter what you thought about that politically at the time or what you think of it now, the federal government gave some ESSER dollars that were one-time dollars to schools. In that budget in 21-23, the state gave nothing to schools and said use the ESSER dollars to fill the gap. So some school districts in Wisconsin used that for operations, but it left them with like a cliff, a gap, because you didn't get that money in the next 23-25 budget. We didn't use that for operations. That really helped us keep our sustainability, and we also haven't laid off a worker for financial reasons in the last 13 years. That's something we're really proud of as well. But we didn't fill the gap operationally with ESSER funds. We used that for like a testing center. If you remember, we were one of the school districts that were open right away, that just went for it 5 days a week. So we ran our own testing center and used those dollars for supplies, some extra nurses and subs during that time. If you're looking at state data, Baird has a great website that shows you state data on the success rate of school operations and school budgets. We're probably similar, just over 80% of our budget's on staffing, but we also own our own transportation. So some districts might have a higher percent there, but they have a purchase contract for transportation. Most districts do. Us in New London, Spash, there's not many left that own their own transportation. So we have a little bit higher facility costs because we have that bus replacement costs within our facility costs. We have seen the bad news for us is we've seen some negative trends on the health benefit. We switched to self-funded from fully insured, opened our new employee health clinic, I think 3 years ago. So we've tried to pull some levers to keep our health benefit manageable, giving a good benefit, but keeping the cost stable and manageable for us in our overall budget. That's been a difficult process. We grew rapidly for 12 years. In the last couple of years, we've declined a little bit. I'm not too worried about it because of how fast we grew. And you see some development on your side of the district in the new McHugh area subdivisions. We see some development in Greenville. What does worry me a little bit is like everywhere, the cost of housing, and will new families take advantage, or can they take advantage because of the cost of housing? And our mod rate has improved. So workers' comp rate wasn't good for a couple of years. We have seen some improvements. It's a 3-year mod rate, so our insurance, our liability insurance that we pay those claims, that mod rate's important, and it's an important part of our budget. I just listed some of our retention strategies to keep a highly qualified staff. I won't read all of those to you. I know we have other items tonight. And then I have a slide in there just with our advocacy in Madison. We travel there frequently. We have legislators into our district frequently. We know there's changes in every cycle. We really appreciate our relationship with our local boards, including this board, and everything our community does to support our school district here. So we have great relationships with the village. Just to remind you, we have activities with the library, our SRO contract, 1.5 still, right? Yep. 1.5 FTE for our SRO contract is with the village on both sides of the district. Chief is still one of our safety coordinators and very involved in the school. Appreciate that with Mr. Ellenbecker. They run sessions throughout the year, emergency sessions, and train our staff. That includes our nursing staff, our administrators, other key players in the district to ensure our safety practices are up to date. They work with us on threat assessments. If there's a required DOJ threat assessment in the school, some of our drills, attend some PD in the summer, and make sure we're up to date. I think the agency saved some kids this year in some sextortion cases that we had in the fall that we had to work through, that kids were victims of for about a 4 or 5 year period. That was really disturbing. So I believe our partnership with Chief Barr and the agencies here have saved some kids, and you've heard me say that before. How much I respect and appreciate our relationship with Nathan, leadership here, the library, and especially the law enforcement. I'm trying to get them to take me out fishing a little bit more. It seems not to take me out fishing anymore, but we'll talk about that some other time. Questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we've got a big election cycle coming up in November, state, Senate, and also the Assembly. Is there a way, like, you have a Q&A for some of the candidates that are running that constituents can see? Because obviously, you're in the thick of it. You have much more viable questions than I would on this, right? Are you meeting with any of those candidates, or?
Yeah, I just talked to Grace 2 weeks ago. Grace came in for a couple hours. I talked to Representative Murphy throughout his time, all the time. I visit with our CISA regional legislators once a month in Oshkosh. And then I travel to Madison to visit with legislators, visited with the governor this year, which I've done the last several years in Madison. Visited with all of our local legislators outside of the once a month in Oshkosh. They have my number, I have theirs.
Is there any kind of public forum? Because it's not,
Yeah,
to me, it's not a red or blue thing. To me, it's a topic and issue and policy kind of thing.
And that's how we talk. That's how I talk with our local legislators. Yeah, I participated in the League of Women Voters statewide discussion in December, January, July. I can't remember exactly where that was. We would be happy to host any type of session at school for the Hortonville public to attend. We'd be happy to moderate, but our relationship is very, very strong, no matter what side of the aisle. I don't get into that.
It's policy.
But yeah, I talk to our elected representatives in the state at least once a month.
Okay.
Any other questions? Really proud to be a polar bear and appreciate everything that you all do for our school district. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Todd.
Actually, so sorry.
Go ahead, Jim.
There was nothing, usually you talk about the capacity of the schools when you do this, and
We're in really good shape.
Okay.
So we grew rapidly for 12
expandability and
years.
stuff like that, yeah.
We grew rapidly for 12 years, and Jim, we were even thinking like 4 or 5 years ago, do we look at land again because of that rapid growth? We've stabilized here
Okay.
the last 3. We've dipped a little bit. I feel really good where we're at from a space perspective. I don't envision a facility referendum in the near future. What has me a little bit is, a little bit of the decline, which is not, I'm not worried, but it just has me wondering what's the future of affordability for housing everywhere though. And our family's gonna shrink in size, and what does that mean for our schools and our communities? But as far as a facility expansion, I don't see that as a need right now.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you, Todd.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, we'll go to 10, new business. A, discussion and possible action on presentation on outdoor comprehensive plan.
This is, we took a little longer this time, working with East Central Regional Planning to kind of get through this. I think staff's time we were kind of the cause of the delay on this. But we do have Joe Stevenson, who is with the East Central Regional Planning Commission, who had our contract for this. And it's in its finalish stage, so if you'd like to kind of present it.
Yeah, sure. Before I start, I will say that we are under contract by $5,000 right now, so we're getting money back. I like to try to have my contracts come under. I think it's a good way to show a strong relationship with you guys. But I'll kind of go through this. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to interrupt me. I can sometimes talk fast, tell me to talk slower if I'm talking too fast. If you want to scroll down, first few pages of just introduction. If you want to go to page 10, we can talk a little bit about community profile. So one above that. Yep. So we have a pretty strong data analytics team in East Central. You'll see throughout this plan we use data quite a bit. We're always sourcing where it's coming from. But big sources we get, Esri is our in-house GIS software that puts together a lot of these things, where we get the best data from like Bureau of Labor and Statistics, Census Bureau, the American Community Survey, things like that. So a lot of government sources, but then our Esri product allows us to get private sources as well, so we get up-to-date stuff that's outside of just the census. Big things with Hortonville, I would say, obviously you guys, 3,161 population, that's just a moment in time. I'd say you're around that 31 to 3,200 people on any given metric for this year. Median household income, I would say, is fairly high. You guys, compared to your peer communities, are pretty solid, as well as your other income metrics, like your median home value and things of that nature, are also on the higher end. If you want to scroll down. I'll maybe touch on this a little bit more as we go on, but I kind of want to put this seed in your guys' mind as we're going through this. Your community is a little bit, I call it like a tale of two cities, right? You guys have your biggest age cohorts are 60 to 65 and 15 to 19. So you have bookends. You have a pretty high, pretty big kind of senior population. Then you also have a pretty big youth population. And then I think as maybe your was he a superintendent? Is that your superintendent kind of alluded? Your 0 to 4-year-olds and your 5 to 9-year-olds are actually pretty small. So that 0 to 4-year-old cohort, one of your smallest ones. So you're seeing not a ton of births there. But then your teenagers, your middle schoolers, still a pretty big block of your guys' population. As we keep scrolling down, community engagement, keep going. We did a survey with your guys' community, as well as an online social pinpoint application between both of those platforms. You guys had about 152 responses, it looks like. Survey at 110, and then the map with the remainder. That's pretty strong for a community of your size. I would say we have similar response rates from communities maybe even twice your size. If we're getting anywhere with a community that like 3,000, if you're getting above 100 is usually pretty solid. If you guys hit like 200, that would be a very high number, but usually we're trying to get that 100 people to respond. And I also, you did have respondents kind of across the board between family living situations and things of that nature. Chapter 5 kind of discusses more of those community survey questions in depth. We're going to keep going to recreational resources. So as part of this park plan, we go through, look at all your guys' parks, make an inventory of them, make sure we kind of understand their existing capabilities, maintenance, their size, things of that nature. The NRPA is the National Recreation and Park Association. I'm terrible remembering acronyms, so I had it up on my screen. But they kind of give these classifications for different park sizes. You guys have 2 neighborhood parks, 3 community parks, 2 mini, and then 2 special facilities. Really what you're trying to see there is just a blend of everything. You guys do have a good blend of different style of parks. I would say you probably lean more into maybe like the larger parks than other communities of your size. Other communities of your size probably have a lot more of those mini parks and neighborhood parks, where you guys are a little bit heavier on the community side of things. Nothing is right or wrong, but I will say you'll see in your survey responses about 51% of survey responses are actually from Hortonville. The rest are from outside of a community but still partake of your park system. So that probably indicates you guys have community-facing parks, regional-style parks, and people might be coming here for those. As we kind of keep scrolling, each of the parks we make a map of. We have acreage counts there. We go through the amenities in each park, go a little bit over the school districts that you have in there. Again, this is really probably not anything that you guys don't know, but just the state of your existing park system. As we keep scrolling, we have some interesting maps. I will note we have a little blurb there. Your guys' I would say natural resources in the area is very strong. Lake and waterways, super good amenities. As you see on this map, you also have a lot of like natural areas and wetlands and things of that nature. kind of in and around your community. So that, I would say, is a definite strength. We'll get into this a little bit with some of the goals and things that we saw, but one of the things the community did kind of call out is looking for natural spaces. If you're ever going to look to expand your park system, natural spaces came up as one of the highest rated areas. As we keep going to recreational needs, we can stop here. Yep, as I kind of indicated there, your age trends, your age looks, so population trends, you guys are growing. You can see from the DOA's projections, like a little bit of background on DOA projections, a lot of communities, this is actually declining. The DOA really heavily weighted birth rates, so just so you guys are aware, your growth might be more than this in the future because it doesn't take into consideration migration. So you guys do have a pretty strong, as I indicated, that kind of middle school, high school age group, and as they age and become adults, hypothetically, they will then have children. So you guys have a strong cohort coming in that would be replacing from a birth rate perspective. But then also, the DOA has not projected anything like migration. And migration we're seeing from like New London, other smaller areas, and other mid-sized smaller towns in this area, we're seeing migration be a more determinant factor of population growth. So if you guys are experiencing both natural growth and migration growth, you could have a number that exceeds this, and you guys are already projected to go pretty high. As we go down here, you'll see I kind of talked about your guys' median age. So again, median age on paper looks relatively high, so 40 is getting into that higher range. Clintonville in the area was probably the only one higher than that, but that really is because you guys, your population pyramid looks like a dumbbell. It has a lot of older people and a lot of younger people, so that average doesn't make it tell the whole story. And if you'll see, the first graph was, first bar was 2010, the second one is 2020, so not a lot has changed with that median age, so it's stayed pretty stable, where you'll see in the rest of Wisconsin, things tend to have trickled out. Facility assessments, big things that you guys are doing very well, I would say. Again, you'll see here playgrounds and ball diamonds. Those two things far exceed national averages for communities of your size. You have a lot of playgrounds per resident. You have a lot of diamonds per resident. Areas of potential improvement. These are maybe a little niche, but dog park, disc golf, they weren't low. They were still meeting the national averages, but just maybe not as strong as some of those other areas, and basketball and tennis as well. As we keep going down into the benchmarkings for your guys' park system, the number of residents per park, you want this to be low. So you guys are very, very low. You're even below the lowest quartile, which is good. It means that you have a lot of parks per resident, so you don't have to pack a bunch of people into one park. On the other side, you're looking at park land per 1,000 residents, so that would be physically how large each of these parks are. You guys are almost exactly average. So the median around the nation was that 10.9. You guys are at 10.8. So both of those metrics are telling me that you are either exceeding or meeting parkland requirements for your community. So we keep scrolling, keep going. This is a map we put together for walkability. So it kind of tells you where people can get to parks and how easily. As you kind of see, you guys do have that kind of concentration of parks in the middle of your community, and as you kind of go out, lack walkable parks in some of those new neighborhoods. Not something that I think is a huge issue right now. We did not focus in this plan on acquiring new parkland or building new parks, but I do think in the next 5 years, if you guys do continue to grow and if that population trend is true, definitely something that you want to keep on the radar, because you can see right now some of your outlying subdivisions would have a little bit of a difficult time or a longer hike getting to some of your parks. Keep scrolling, keep going. Health assessment, one page. Health assessment is countywide. That's the data we can get. There's not anything too out of the ordinary here. It's almost all exactly the same as the state average. So Outagamie County in general is on average just as healthy as the rest of the state. So no poor physical conditions, mental health is pretty average, things of that nature. We go to community voice. I can walk through each of our questions. I'm gonna go to page 42. So as we start to get into the survey questions, you'll see this is kind of who was responding to your survey. And as I kind of indicated before, that looks like almost 52% of people were physically in the village of Hortonville, while 48 were outside. That's maybe a little on the higher end, but not anything unusual. We usually see a larger population of people responding to the survey than actual people living in the community, just because there are rural areas in towns that don't have parks at all, so they come to their areas that they do have parks. If you look at that first section talking about people in each age group living in their household, again, that's a pretty good response rate across the board, having that wide swath of age ranges. As we get to which parks and facilities have we visited in the last 12 months, Alonzo Park is really high in there, which is good because you guys did a lot of improvements for that. People really like those. So that is the most visited park, followed by Commercial Club and then Miller Park. Why do people usually visit parks? The highest one was to be outside, next one was for walking, and then the third highest was for children play. So again, I want to hit home this kind of tale of two cities thing. When we talk about our senior populations and people as they age, one of their top things that they want to see is trails. One of the top things they do in parks is walking. So that's why you're seeing that walking be really high. But then you also have, at the other end of the spectrum, that playing with children is consistently one of your highest uses for parks as well. So that all makes sense. This one, when visiting parks, which types of businesses do you typically go to? It looks like everybody goes to a gas station when they're done at a park, which I like to swing by a Quick Trip or two when I get done playing outside or something, right? And then how satisfied are you with the quality conditions of your park? It was a 7 out of 10. I would say that's a little bit above average. We'd probably see more of like a 6.5 if I was like splitting hairs here. So anywhere from, I would say, average to a little bit above average for the numbers out of 10. Next question and question 5.
So it was just a comment. I did.
Sorry, what?
You missed there was a typo where it's supposed to say golf courses, but it says gold courses. So I want to know where those are.
Someone's hiding the gold. I will change that. Thank you. How can the village improve local parks? So this one, we have folks rate them on a scale of like 1 being I really want you to do this, 2nd, that's okay, 3rd, this is my kind of last choice. So your biggest thing right here, as I kind of talked about before, really high with that acquire natural land. So that was something that everybody said was kind of one of their top priorities. But then you have on the other end of the spectrum, one of the lowest priorities was future parkland, which what I'm going to read into this is that people maybe don't want more parks, but they do want more natural areas. Those things seem a little conflicting to me, but that's how I'm going to read these survey results. Other high things that came back is expand adult programs and then the trail connectivity.
Was there any specific information about what natural lands was, or is it just a general term?
Yeah, so there are, in all of these, there's an opportunity for people to like type below. Okay. And I know throughout the survey, people did comment on talking about how they really liked the natural beauty of the area. And I think on this one in particular, when they were talking about like natural lands, it was more like conservation. And again, I think maybe getting to that trails aspect, people are maybe thinking of having like a woods that just has a walking trail through it. So I think it was in that vein of conservation, and rather than like I want a new pickleball court at the edge of town, or I want a new playground, it was more I want that more passive recreation.
Okay.
how satisfied are you with recent park improvements? We had the pickleball, basketball, and tennis both listed there, so all of them, I would say people are pretty satisfied. The doesn't meet expectations, you can see, is the lowest color on the totem pole, pretty small. But then also there were a handful of people that say that they don't use them, so that's fair enough as well. Which park facilities need improvement in Hortonville? You'll see that thankfully your splash pad is in excellent condition. So people rated that as the one that had the best condition, but then if you look at the poor condition ones, parking did come up quite a bit in the typed comments. People talked with, and I think that's maybe just a product of, you guys did do a lot of these improvements, maybe more people are using Alonzo Park now, but parking came up as a need, and maybe even circulation of parking lots was a worry that they wanted it to be a little bit more safer. So parking came up as a poor condition, and then volleyball and horseshoe were the next kind of following ones as other facilities that had kind of poor condition qualities.
Where do we have volleyball?
You used to have it at Alonzo.
Yeah.
It was taken out.
Yeah, okay.
And horseshoe,
Do,
was
do
that
we-
Still
Miller?
at Miller?
do we still have them there?
No.
Yep,
Okay.
There's no sand in them, but
they're still there.
they're still there.
What, we don't do them, do we?
We don't maintain them really, just
Horseshoes?
mow 'em.
Yeah, I mean, we mow, but we don't see anyone over there.
Probably because they're crappy. I mean,
They're really cheap
Probably.
things.
that's a cheap fix,
Yeah, it's
you
one of
know?
the cheapest ones you got.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
if you
cheap
took
one.
that survey today, pickleball would be number one. Or
As-
number two.
I think
As a
there's
park
Because
condition.
believe me, that part
No.
is full all the time,
use.
right up until
Well, for
11
use.
o'clock at night.
I think there's need for more
There
courts,
is.
and that's
Mhm.
probably why it's not at that full max.
If you wanna maybe scroll to the next slide.
Yep.
If you do look, so this next one is asking if you need more or if it meets your needs. If you look at your pickleball, it did have it was one of the higher needs more. So it was 57% said it needs more, and then 42% said meets needs. Another one, again, that natural spaces kind of keeps popping up. That was your largest needs more and does not meet the needs. And then also your shared trail spaces and parking were two additional ones that were pretty high on that needs more. Do you want to keep going? This, I know it looks a little confusing, but really what we're trying to see here is trends throughout age groups, and you'll see that most popular amenities, obviously for your families in pre-K, pretty solidly playgrounds. That's pretty far and above. And then as you move into that 5 to 12, 13 to 18, looks like programming is going to be some of their most used, followed by ball diamonds. Ball diamonds and programming really go together. Programming is going to be sports and recreation. And then as you get into your 19 to 54 and 55 plus, trails and events are actually the ones that are popping to those levels. Keep going. This one was about your guys' splash pad, so a 9 out of 10, that is a really good score. We never see a perfect 10 out of 10, so I would say that's probably as high as you guys can get. If there were a 10 out of 10, I would probably think there was something wrong with the survey. But people really like the splash pad. Other questions as we kind of go down. Are you aware the village has kayak rental stations installed at Black Otter Park? Most people said yes, about 70%. The question 11, would you be more likely to rent a kayak or a paddleboard? Most people wanted to rent a kayak. Question 12, should the school district facilities be open to the public? People said 82% overwhelmingly said yes, and 17% said no. With that last one, I know school districts have different takes on whether or not they like facilities to be used after hours. I think different insurance providers and things of that nature can kind of dictate if that can happen or not. We do try to advocate for the school district to be as intertwined with your guys' park facility as possible. Obviously keeping in mind that they also don't want to boot it off their insurance, so those conversations should definitely, it sounds like you guys have a good relationship anyway, but they should definitely happen as much as they can. Again, how do they get information about village parks and recreation programs? It looks like social media and word of mouth are the far and away winners of this one. These are just some additional comments. Folks that were asking about trails, people like the splash pad, public pool, they liked. If you want to keep going down, the public pool is nice. This is that map I talked about. So this is the social pinpoint app. It doesn't look as fancy as what our app right now because I just took a screenshot, but essentially what people were allowed to do is to click into this kind of Google Maps looking thing, and then you can drop a dot, and then that dot has a comment attached to it. Things like, I really like this park, or I don't like this park, weren't very common, but you can say those types of things, and then people can interact with your comments. We find it just be a good way to interact online instead of just the traditional surveys. We can get to goals and recommendations. So we'll talk about, I'll maybe just go over the 3 overarching goals, and we can kind of scroll through the more objective related things. So we do try to give you goals and then kind of like checklist things. So objectives are going to be like specifically something you can do. Goal 1 was to reinvest and improve existing parks. So that really is, again, going to be talking about maintenance and going to be talking about how you can improve your park system today. Goal 2 is going to be expand connectivity and active transportation. So really what we're talking about there is trail connectivity and making sure you guys are making those connections. And then goal 3 is going to be strengthen Hortonville as a family-focused recreation destination. That one, we are talking about maybe not just talking about like all forms of family, right? So that one we'll go a little bit into, but it touches on both your guys' lower end of the age spectrum and higher end of the age spectrum. So if you want to keep going, we'll get to goal 1 and our specifics. So reinvesting and improving existing park systems. You'll see invest in additional parking capacity and safe paved pedestrian connections to key park amenities and activity areas. I have do you guys want me to go through each individual sub-bullet point, or do we just make it a little lengthy? I don't know how much you guys want me to talk. Yes or no? No? Okay. Objective 1-2 was prioritize maintenance and improve high-use facilities. So again, this one you're talking about shoreline preservations. You're talking about ensuring that you just have regular maintenance schedules and keeping things kind of looking nice. So I didn't think your guys' parks had a ton of maintenance issues by any means, but everybody can benefit from making sure those things are regular and putting them into a budget consistently. If we go to objective 1-3, expand and upgrade park lighting, improve safety, and support union recreation opportunities. This is one that came out a little bit in the survey, but also something that we're seeing as kind of a national trend on wanting to improve lighting just from a safety perspective, but then also ensuring that people can use parks into the evening as we try to make sure that parks are not just a summer thing. They are still your bookends, your April and your fall, and maybe even some winter stuff. When night starts to come a little bit sooner, it's good to have those lights out there for kids and whatnot so they can play. Objective 1-4, add, maintain shade structured pavilions, seating areas to improve comfort, accessibility, and usability of parks. This one ties a little bit into your guys' trail system as well. We talked about wanting to expand that trail system, but make sure that in any park, any trail system, you're putting in adequate seating. Seating is becoming increasingly important as the elderly with their maybe grandkids start to use play structures. We're seeing that to be a much more common use of playgrounds now is for grandmas and grandpas to take their grandkids to these areas, and having just seating for folks is really important so they can take a break. In this one as well, we have the ensure to implement your Memorial Square redesign plan. We do have that kind of bookended in the bottom of this, and then also to implement your Otto Miller Athletic Field 6-phase complex plan. So ensuring that you guys are still moving forward on those plans you guys kind of have out there already, and I think they're good plans to continue with. Keep going. Objective 2-1, strengthen park-to-park and regional trail connectivity. Again, this one talked a little bit about wayfinding signage, talked a little bit about maybe trying to get a plan together on where people can take sidewalk or biking paths, and then trying to really get that, the Weewash Trail, just a little bit, so people know, like people who aren't from town maybe know it's there, and then also maybe trying to get a little bit more integrated in the community. I think it is a really good asset and can definitely bring folks to the area. So I wanted to highlight some of those. We talk about enhanced safe access into and through parks. I think a lot of those, so I talked a little bit about parking lot improvements and making sure that pedestrian ways and things of that nature throughout your parks were either being redone sometime or were just being looked into, because that did come up in the survey quite a bit. Keep going. This is just a plan or a map from, so not a map that was put together in this process. East Central does transportation planning throughout, so this is taken from transportation planning within Outagamie County. So those, I wanted to make sure to reference this map back on where planned bike routes and planned trails were in that plan. We keep going. So this one is now goal 3, to expand connectivity and active transportation. Objective 2-3 is to expand trail experience within and between parks. So if we want to, you can look at develop additional multi-use trails within Black Otter Park, providing walking loops. Walking loops are a really common thing now that people are really liking to have in a community. You guys have this really awesome lake asset, and I think some of your parks kind of abutting the lake are super beautiful, but just being able to ensure you can get some sort of like walking loop in some of these areas would go a long way. No, that was still goal 2, sorry. Goal 3 is our strengthen Hortonville as a family-focused recreation destination. So again, with this goal, really trying to hit home on both bookends. So we're looking at it, if you can expand adult outdoor recreation activities, as well as programming for youth. I know it sounds like there's probably maybe a 0 to 9-year-old cohort is a little small, but I think from the surveys that we saw, it sounded like everybody really liked existing programming and wanted expansion for that. I know that costs money, and working closely with the school district, I think we hear it everywhere that people want more programming. Take that for what it's worth, but people were very excited about wanting to have additional opportunities for their kids to play and recreate. Other things we talked about in this end, looked at maybe putting some of those like workout stations along trails. Those can be a really good way for folks that are doing those walking loops to be able to continue to exercise and work out outdoors and not need a gym membership, being cognizant of people's budgets. Gonna pull up a few other highlights. I think that's where, unless we have any specific questions, I think that's where I'll leave it. Again, we have, if you want to keep scrolling down, I won't go through this in detail, but we have an action plan that we gave you guys that kind of shows all, and grants that shows when all of these things should take place. You do not need to do everything, and it doesn't need to happen in this order. This is just kind of from a staff perspective, a capacity perspective. You don't want to do everything all at once. And also, if you want to apply for like stewardship grants, it needs to be in the plan, otherwise you can't get a grant for it. I always tell people, if you do half of what's in this plan, then you're doing awesome. So it is supposed to be a little bit exhaustive, just so if you have an idea, you can go out and get a grant for it. We do the last few pages. I have to edit this one and move it a little bit over because it kind of cut off, but I did have our grants person go through this plan and give you a handful of grants that she feels are realistic for you to apply for. I know in our past plans, we've probably given you like I don't know, like a 10-page document on every grant that ever existed ever. I don't think that's super helpful. It gets a little information overload, so our grants person really tried to go through and make sure that she can tie certain grants to things that are realistic to go for. And I will also note our grants individual is a service that we offer folks that our grants person is a service we offer folks that do contracts with us. In the next 5 years, if you guys are going through this and need help with a grant, please reach out. That's a free service. She won't necessarily, she might put the whole grant together for you. She's very ambitious, but I won't promise she'll do the whole grant, but she will do a lot of the writing. She'll do a lot of the data. If you catch her on a good day and she really wants to help, she might do the whole thing for you. But just to make sure you guys are aware of that service that we've started providing. Any questions?
Any questions? No? Then we need a motion to accept this, correct, tonight?
We'll have to provide you a resolution next meeting
Oh,
for
okay.
approval, but, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to B, discussion and possible action on discussion on future projects.
So, this is kind of all changed around. I'll just give you a little update. Aaron and I met with the county on yesterday. And basically, their goal is to push off a portion of the east segment of Main Street. So, basically, downtown would be happening just as is planned right now. But the east section, they want to push to the next year, basically to 28, and then the west would be in 29. Our concerns, which we had, was basically we have the grant to help with some of the realignment of Alonzo Park, plus the intersection there. So the plan would be for them to do that. We'd do that next year. So you'd have that entrance done, and then we'd still do, basically off of our list here, we'd still do the Gibbons Road reconstruction, the downtown trail, the Miller Park Trail, the parking lot behind the downtown, and then obviously the public works equipment, these squads, would all still be in 2027. But as of right now, they are planning on pushing that east segment,
So define downtown segment, because currently it
Right.
was from
So-
Briggs to. like,
No, it's, the downtown segment is from the
Bridge.
bridge
Okay.
by Miller Park to Nash Street. A little past Nash Street, they're actually going, I think, by BMO, the old BMO bank. So they're kind of going a little past Nash, but not too far. I think your house is actually one of the last ones.
It is at the end of our
Right.
property line, yeah.
So,
Does it include the bridge?
yes,
Okay.
the bridge will be completely down this year and reconstructed.
Okay.
So, and that start date for that is looking like it's gonna be July 6th is when they're gonna start putting up detours. I did send you guys all an email, with a kind of timeline there. That's what we know so far. We're still waiting on our public hearing that the construction is gonna be kind of heading with the county. Hopefully we'll get that out as quickly as soon as we get it, to get it to the residents that need it.
Before that happens though, they are starting with a subcontractor called Vibertech that should be reaching out to all the properties, at least in the downtown, to do pre-construction surveys. So trying to set up appointments just to make sure that they have pre-construction documented, so if anything is damaged during construction inside the building or on the foundation, that you can get help with that.
So what's changed since the last time? Because wasn't it that one section, and then the next section was 2027, and the next was 2028? What are they pulling out of
Basically, the full reconstruction of the east segment in 27, they're pushing it a year.
To help with the property acquisition, TLEs and things like that, and they're basically,
Budgeting issues.
you know,
Okay.
So, yeah. But they are gonna do that intersection, because we do have that extra grant. So that'll actually be our project technically, so we will be bidding that one out with, and then they will be reimbursing us. Works out easier for us for reimbursement from the state for that portion of the grant too. So,
and that allows us to utilize our existing grant funds that we still have through 2027.
And then any of the multimodal trail that was supposed to align with Alonzo, will that just like be buttered off at the ends or what?
the trail I don't think will be put in that intersection. It'll be just basically a setup for it, but it's not gonna like go through Alonzo at all
But
until 28.
Until 20, so it's still gonna go through, it's
Right.
just, it's not that there's just gonna be like a funky,
It's just gonna basically be the intersection and the parking lot.
So we're rearranging that entrance.
but it still includes the traffic signals, correct?
That's the biggest thing
They
is,
pull that out of the budget, cause I know you mentioned something about who maintains that and,
So for the people who weren't part of the discussions to know what we're talking about the intersection by Quick Trip and Alonzo Park, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
So because it's Kitty Wampus and they're gonna try to straighten it out.
Add additional parking to Alonzo.
And parking lot.
this is all from the Alonzo Park grant that paid for the splash pad. We applied for an extension and an expansion and amendment, and they granted it to us, so there was more funds available for that entrance, and they'll match half of the costs associated with that. So then we'll get another half of the remaining costs from the county for the stuff that's inside that intersection.
so really nothing changes for this first segment,
Correct.
Cause the acquisitions are done and everything, yeah, that's all done.
Right.
When do they think their timeline is starting this late
For what?
for downtown?
I think it's
It's to October 31st. Any day
October
after that,
31st.
they're paying $1,000 a day for late, is basically how it's set up, so.
It's gonna be Fast and Furious.
It's gonna be fascinating to watch.
Yeah,
So now, how does this affect anything with detouring and school times and the other detouring that's happening because of 76 and does this, it obviously doesn't affect it, but the timeline is what we really were unsure of, and now that we have that timeline,
Yeah, I mean, we have a timeline, but it's not as detailed, right? It's not telling you which sections are gonna be done during certain times, so that's still something that's gonna be discussed at the, our pre-construction meeting and then the public hearing.
I know you were gonna try and get that Main and Nash intersection done prior to school starting.
Yeah,
We're gonna try.
or substantially done,
Yeah,
so that it's still functioning and, yeah. But,
that's gonna be horrendous if it's not for school.
well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of pedestrians that go through there, and I can't imagine having it be under construction during school time. So how do we ensure, though, that they're not going to just kick this down the road even further? I mean, is there something we can do with the county board? Is there someone we
That
can
was
call?
that was one of my questions, and, you know, I did say to them at this point, I think if you guys try to kick it down any further, I think you're gonna get backlash. Cause as of right now, I'm not planning on going to board members, but, cause it does give us a little bit of a leeway, a little bit with the number of projects that we're gonna have kind of behind the downtown and stuff next year, to do the trail and parking lot and all that other stuff, so that we don't have that as well. So it does kind of free us up a little bit, staff-wise, but
It just means we're gonna have 4 years of construction versus 3.
yeah, I think next year's construction is gonna be very light in comparison. It's gonna look, I mean, if you're looking behind downtown, it's gonna look heavy.
Well, I'm looking at Alonzo Park, that intersection, which is also a very high volume
Right.
intersection. So we're gonna have 4 years of construction. We're gonna be the new Highway 41.
Well,
always under
the nice
construction.
thing, the nice thing about it is you're still getting Alonzo done, so the entrance to Alonzo will be done. And then next year, when they're actually doing, the year after that, when they're doing the east section, at least that area is gonna be done, and you'll be able to have people still cross into the park and be in the park easily. But yeah, I mean, it's not ideal.
So the money that they got for this project,
Mhm.
are they doing a different project with this money?
No.
Is that why the delay?
Well, if you're talking about the state's funds, no, they're in a separate account. If you're talking theirs, I don't know what they're prioritizing over or whatnot. It is what it is at this point. I think it's probably because they're committed to basically doing asphalt pavings, and they're trying to do the asphalt paving themselves, and that's probably my guess.
I should have asked for less for
They-
my trees.
No, they tried saying, their biggest thing was they were trying to say the property acquisition, or the TLEs and the property acquisition is gonna be a longer process than what they were expecting, so.
And they had TerraVenture do that, right? So that's handled out of their office, out of Eau Claire. That seems like a really, I'm gonna say it on camera, that seems like a really lame excuse. Because I just went through the acquisition process with TerraVenture,
Right.
and that, the county didn't even have a representative here. Maybe they were here, but I never met with anybody from the county.
Yeah, that was kind of our thoughts too. I mean, I
Mhm.
think there are a few that, on the east section, that they're gonna die before they give up their, easement, if it is. But they just don't want the project in general, so they're gonna do whatever they can to not. But,
I still will be contacting my county rep, and I may be going to a county board meeting and asking about this. It would be nice if the village though had a, like if there's a stance where we are, like if this is fine, you're gonna do this, but come 2028, this is gonna happen. We're not kicking it down the road. But I likely will attend a county board meeting and voice my opinion on this.
I think what would have really hurt if we wouldn't have had the intersection come in, because then we'd basically be
Losing
giving
money.
back $400,000.
Yeah.
That could have been used for the project.
I just think about when we're talking about all this outdoor and we're talking about all the parks and all the amenities in Hortonville. One of those amenities is not constant construction in your main thoroughfare. And now we're looking at 4 years versus 3. That's what I don't like. And it, not just because I live on Main Street, but because I think of the walkability. There's so many people that walk and ride bike and use our public, walkways, that's what I worry about. Do you need anything from us, like aside from voicing our opinion maybe to our county rep, or?
Not at this time. I'm kind of working on something else with them right now which I'll let you know kind of more details on once I get more details that I'm looking at. But I guess outside of that, so if the plan is to kind of go off of what they're saying, I think the Alonzo Park Pavilion will probably be pushed to 2028 as well, which actually kind of benefits us to kind of see cost-wise where things on the intersection is. We have a broad estimate, but we won't really know until we get closer to 2027 for that intersection cost. Outside of that, the Gibbons Road thing, I think we already have to kind of deal with. We're having issues with that road, basically with the water. It's kind of boiling up through there, or bubbling up through there, I should say.
spring issues.
Yeah. Outside of that, there's potential projects, obviously without funding right now, that we're looking at potentially, where if there's funding available, to potentially look at how where we're gonna put that funding. So realistically, what I'm looking for is prioritization, mix from the board, because there's some in here that are a little, more important than others. I think the stream restoration is one that we could push, has very little impact compared to the other ones. It is nice to have that restoration project done, but I think, the stormwater improvements are probably a little more important. So the one for 100,000 on Lakeview, Lake Shore, I think Aaron can kind of speak more to that, but I think the price we're looking at actually investing is a little less, because there's two issues that are needing to be addressed here. One is, I think you can kind
So,
of talk on.
Yeah, I mean, there's basically two issues with backing up stormwater in that neighborhood. There's a lot of vegetative growth and trees that have grown up within the stormwater easement that's backing water up because it was designed at a very low slope to begin with. So once you start breaking stuff up, that backs water up on the properties. And then at the downstream end of it, there's an undersized pipe that's starting to fail as well. So I think, going through that entire easement, removing some of the mature trees that are in it, some of the other things that are in it, I think would be a pretty dramatic change to that neighborhood. So I think if we started off just replacing the pipe at the bottom so that it doesn't back water way up into properties on the downstream end, so we can have a larger pipe with a better inlet system to get that water through those properties and into the lake faster, would help. And if we just did that, that would be more like 30,000, 40,000, somewhere in there we're estimating right now. And just to see how that helps first before we take the whole dramatic step of going through and ripping out all the trees and everything that are growing up in that easement over the last 25 years.
Who pays for that?
So
Could be a capital.
it could be all funded through the village tax dollar, otherwise it could just be fully assessed as well. So there's options that the board would have in that area. Another project is basically Opera House parking lot, stormwater and asphalt improvements. We're having issues, obviously, with the winter snow plowing. You're having deterioration on that backside of the parking lot. And for years, obviously, the downspouts have been pouring through that parking lot as well. So with the Main Street project happening this year, I'm guessing there's gonna probably be some deterioration even more in that area. And in 27, when we redo that, we add in that trail through that area, it might be a good idea at that point to potentially update that and add in new asphalt. Industrial park stormwater improvements, that we should get estimates on somewhat soon.
The initial modeling is looking like there's undersized culverts in some locations that, if they were replaced and larger, would have some benefit. So.
And then the Otto Miller Park stormwater improvements, this is based off of the Otto Miller Park design that we will be, will be bringing to public facilities and then probably up to the board soon here.
Yeah, it's got to go through the school board first, and then we'll bring it back to the board. But one of the main issues is that there's a stormwater system that's undersized, which causes a lot of flooding in the park, and especially if you start going to do some of the updates that are recommended, you're going to have even more. So looking at other entities, grant dollars, and different things like that to fund some of the other things that are a little bit more flashy, some of the underground stuff would be something that we might be able to take on that nobody else really wants to pay for, but still needs to get done.
And then the final is the columbarium expansion. with the cemetery. Last meeting, you guys kind of wanted me to go out for bids. My only concern with that is it's not currently in the budget. We can't necessarily take out a loan right now because of the bond we took out. So it would have to, at the earliest, be 27 for construction for that. There's also, one of the thoughts too is when I was looking at it was, you know, kind of the design was gonna push this to that corner, kind of the far corner of the cemetery. One of the thoughts Aaron and I had, I think when we were looking at it, was maybe just doing like some stubs out from the sidewalk and basically kind of using a similar design that is at St. Peter St. Paul Cemetery. That fits about 90, I think it was 92 niches in that, and it seems like it would be something that we could start with and slowly make our way down to that area, rather than doing a $300,000 or so investment estimated, and not really, I think my issue is I think we're a little tight right now with all these other projects to try to fit that in. Granted, it is one of the only projects that's gonna generate revenue too, but it's just a lot of money to put out there, and waiting for that return on investment might take a while.
How critical is that? I mean, are we like out of space in the cemetery, or are we?
I mean, technically it's not critical at all. We've kind of held space for this as of right now. We've been holding it since I think 2019. We're not.
I think it's just a fact that we could sell these.
Right.
So if you went to this style, at least it would be a start.
Right. Well, and if you did something smaller like this to kind of like lead out to the bigger one,
Right.
I think you could start by doing that for a reasonable expense, and then you'd see kind of what the sales data is for, you know, how long does it take us to sell these? Is it gonna be 4 a year, or is it gonna be 20 a year? That's the only thing too, investing the 300,000 or more, who knows how long it's gonna take us to.
So there's approximately 36, if it's the same as this design that's on here, there'd be 36 spots. So if we sold all 36, then you'd at least know you
It's
can move
92.
on.
I think it's-
There's 92 in this small one?
Well,
That's in
there's
St. Peter
too
and
many.
Paul?
more than one.
So there's 2 in each of these, and it's I think it's Pentagon. Or not a Pentagon one.
So you can fit 2 remains in each.
Well, yes, but
Yeah.
there's 36 that if you sold
think there was
a couple,
92 when we
it
went
would
up
be
there and counted.
36.
There was 92 niches. So you could fit 92 plus 2 people. But, I mean, that's 2 burials, not 2 purchases, so it's,
might be second.
Correct. So if you sold those, at least you'd know if you wanted to do something different.
right,
It would be worth it to at least have it
right.
and do the cheaper one.
That was,
I
That
don't
was-
see that you need a sidewalk leading to it. I mean,
Well,
is there a sidewalk in the Catholic one?
yeah,
yeah.
well,
Leading
Well,
to
from
it?
the gravel,
kinda.
there's a gravel driveway.
Well, I mean, you could phase it too, and you could start, like, you could lay out the design, the idea of where the sidewalk was gonna be, and then you could start putting in 1 or 2 and see how they sell. And then when you're selling them, obviously, you're gonna say, okay, here's the long-term plan, is it's gonna be a walkway all the way through, you're gonna have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then a larger one at the end, but you start by just putting one in, no sidewalk, just a general walkway across the grass, and then see how that goes over, and then you put the next one in, and now you potentially have some money, building up, and you can start with the sidewalk and work
Right.
your way forward.
I don't think the sidewalk's gonna cost too much,
Yeah.
even just from the road, you're talking probably 30 feet of sidewalk, and you're gonna have someone there doing concrete anyway, to lay down the base for this.
Okay.
I think accessibility is a big thing.
Right.
like, I know up at the Catholic cemetery, you know, that this is accessible, you know, from that gravel,
Mhm.
where that's a lot of grass,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right, I think your major cost in the other one was just, you're taking the concrete all the way out there. There's also some design in that other one that had a bigger retention wall and
Yeah.
a little more expensive aspects to it, where I would probably make it a little wider than the one that the cemeteries could add in a bench or two. And that would be about it.
I think that's a good idea to start with that.
Okay.
So can
Right.
you back up just a second with the whole, and I don't wanna beat it to a death here, but the whole 4-year construction thing or whatever, due to the extension on that, is there anything we could do, and I'm not just talking Main Street businesses, I'm talking like regional businesses as a whole, is there something that we could do, any kind of grants or something, like anything we can do to help still bring people? I worry more about our businesses. We've got 4 years of people maybe avoiding the area because like, well, it's ripped up. And this is summertime, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the intersection's gonna take a long time, but I get your point.
I just think of that whole.
Unfortunately, there isn't anything that I know of. There's nothing we can do. There may be grants the state offers, but I doubt it.
Well, the grants that you have this year.
I just know people
Well,
avoid
right.
certain areas, especially if they know it's under construction. And like, if
Right.
we're gonna have that every summer, this is what we're into. Even by Jane, you know what I mean? It's not just the Main Street. I'm talking like that regional of businesses, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we could do for a village would be, I mean, we can pull shop local, stuff like that, and try to encourage it,
Okay.
but
Well, businesses are gonna have to be very active.
They're gonna be
Right.
very active, and I
I
think,
mean-
especially if the downtown gets done, I think there could be some some ideas that the businesses could do. And I'm just, again, I don't
the
wanna get
whole
into that.
reason of doing the downtown section first was because we didn't want, we figured if it was a new setup, it would be a lot easier to bring people, it'd be easier than not to bring people in to be in the new downtown.
Another good
um,
reason for a business association,
Right.
okay?
Right, because then it's a little easier too, if it's a business association that's putting out posts and then we're sharing it. It's
Yep.
a lot different than us
We can't
picking
market.
businesses and, yeah.
Yeah, we're not a marketing firm.
Businesses, we could get together and possibly do, we could, I don't know, whatever advertising for them. And, do joint advertising and, say Hortonville's still open, we're still here.
I'm just trying to think of the bread and butter that feeds this
Right.
community, right?
Basically, New London just went through it, and I think they did a lot of advertising.
Mhm.
This is how you get to me,
Right.
and I don't think they were hurting at all.
No,
Their business may be down this much,
I
but
think
they,
their chamber did a lot of work.
yeah,
to help
you,
that.
you gotta promote
The
how
problem
to
is
get to me.
Our chamber is
Our
kind
chamber's
of a
pretty
mix
large.
of
Yeah.
communities. It's not centralized like theirs.
Their focus
Right.
is not Hortonville, yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, all right, sorry.
No, that's
Again,
okay.
while we're on kind of this topic, I just needed to say it.
Do you need a motion on this?
No, I guess I'm just kind of trying to feel out what your guys' priorities are, because there's a decent amount of projects here of what only some are gonna probably be able to be done, depending on the year, I guess, too.
So we just heard a gentleman give us a whole talk about people looking for nature space. And then we're talking about maybe not doing the creek improvements right away. But is the trail gonna be going through there right away?
Yeah. I think, yeah, I do think the recent subdivision that we have going in is actually gonna provide that for us more than anything else, because you're gonna have all these wetlands that we would be able to potentially get a grant to do a trail system through, like a planked trail. Boardwalk.
But right now, that trail with the 2026 project, that trail is going through along the creek, right?
Kinda, yeah. In a small, I mean,
2027.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to
Right.
clarify, because right now, we talked about like the walkability or bike, whatever. So we talked about, we were gonna go behind the businesses and go along the creek because we were trying to like
There'll be-
focus on that.
Yeah, there'll be a small section that goes behind the creek there. It's not that it's not necessary, I just think timeline-wise is a problem. Those grants, I think we missed the deadline already for 27. We could potentially apply for a grant in 28, but I think the problem that we were looking at was the cost of it compared to some of these other projects, where I could do 3 of these other projects for the cost of the one.
I'm just trying to go from what he was trying to tell
Right.
us, what was based on a survey, and because we already have a project going in there. So is the creek gonna look like it looks right now with the?
It'll be fairly similar right
Okay.
now, yeah, which I get it, it's not great.
No. Okay, that's all I'm just trying to clarify, because that is when he tells us about nature and all that, I think of that stretch of trail and the
Yeah.
potential there and the wildlife and,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a lot of potential,
Yeah,
and it's
okay.
definitely a need, and it's still on our list. It just might be something that we're gonna have to wait till 29 or 30 to end up accomplishing.
It's something that you have to start early. If you want to apply, grants for a lot of the urban stream restoration are due in the spring. So you have to have designs at least at 60% ready to go then, and then those are for construction the next year after that. So you'd have to start for a year with design, then apply for grants. So basically a 3-year process before you have the grant funds available to do
Yeah,
the construction.
it's like we was talking about all this tonight, and I'm like, oh yeah, the creek, that'll be a creek, and then, yeah, that's
And
why.
We also, so the other thing is, that these are based on kind of the projections that the financial advisors had in the financial report. Some of that's gonna probably be amended now because, not just because of the moving of the project, but also the bids that we got for the loan and bond that we had was better than what we were expecting in that, so that will have an effect on that, so there will be potentially some more funds that way. But, yeah, I mean, I think this is something we're gonna probably keep coming back to once we kind of get updated figures and looking at it a little more often than we do normally. Where normally we're kind of talking about CIP during budget time, because there's usually one project or two that we have.
There's a lot.
I guess the goal was just to try to feel out some of the thoughts on these projects. The other thing that's not kind of in here is something we have talked about, I think, in the past, was potentially with the school district's new tennis courts going in, was potentially adding in 2 more pickleball courts in Miller Park instead of the tennis court, and doing basketball there. I don't think the conversion is that costly. We're still looking into it right now, but the coat that goes on the top of the courts have to be done between 6 to 8 years, depending on use and deterioration. Right now, I think we're on year 4. I think the year that we were talking about potentially doing that would be actually next year, if we would do the conversion, because if you're gonna put the trail through, and you're gonna have people working in the park, and the thought was, get it all done, so then it's done, and it's open, and, yeah, so. And we also could look at maybe, if we wanted to, I mean, maybe it makes more sense to push that to 28 too. Well, actually, no, it'd be, because that section's done this year, sorry, never mind.
Okay. There's no good answers.
No, I mean,
And at least, we made you familiar with some of the things that are out there. We just got a kind of a wrench in things yesterday, but there's a lot of moving pieces right now.
Are we allowed to use the school's tennis courts? I thought they stated they were private to the school.
Where did you hear that?
I thought when they were constructing it, there was something said about it.
I had heard that as long as,
Basically, part of the TID worked with the school district in funding some of the stormwater improvements in response for basically allowing that to be public use when it's not in use.
Okay,
So when the school district doesn't need it or isn't using it for classes or whatever, it would be open to the public. Part of that was them getting a sign that states the times as much as they could, for when they would be public, it would be open to the public.
okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So then you're good with everything right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's more to kind of keep you guys up to date on some of the projects we have up in the air right now. Yeah, I do know they are, just on that tennis court thing, they are the contractor who came in last year to put the top layer on, there was issues with it, so that's why it wasn't open this year and it's not open right now, is because they're gonna have to redo that top layer, of the seal coating. So I'm guessing it'll probably open by the end of summer or midsummer, but.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to 9, unfinished business from previous meetings. A, discussion and possible action on road maintenance agreement between the Village of Hortonville and the Town of Hortonia.
So this we talked about a few months ago, I think. For those who weren't here, the reason this is in place is because of the jurisdictional transfer of that old County Road TT to the village and the Town of Hortonia. So the issue is when you're looking at our map of our jurisdiction, is if there's Hortonia land and then there's village land, Hortonia land, village land. So the goal of this is just to try to make it easier for maintenance and who's responsible for what. Our concerns with the first reiteration of this was there wasn't anything in there, A, for specially assessing the properties, which the village does, where the county usually, who does the work for the Town of Hortonia, comes through and does the clearing of the ditch lines probably once a year, where we have a requirement of it being maintained, and basically this allows us to continually do that. And then if we specially assess someone for not cutting and they are supposed to have cut, the town will then assess them for us. Is my understanding at this point. We would be the first ones to pass this. The Town of Hortonia would still have to agree to it.
Does anyone have questions on this? If not, we would need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the, presented road maintenance agreement. Is there a date or anything that identifies this? No.
A second.
Roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Carrie?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we'll go to 11, report of village officials. A, clerk treasurer, Jane.
My report was in the packet.
Any questions for Jane? Okay, we'll move to B, director of public works, Aaron.
My report was in the packet, and I did talk to people that run our kayak rental station, and it should be open here sometime in the next week or two.
I have a question. It was brought to my attention, 9th Street, when we did all the etching on that center line when we moved it. Now, the one we painted isn't painted so hot anymore, but the etching one, you can still see yellow through there. People said it's confusing, especially at night.
We were just talking about it a couple hours ago.
So 9th Street, I know when you come up with your list of painting, or whoever does that, the county or whatever, that definitely needs to be repainted.
Definitely on our list.
Thank you.
And then what is the hookup of stormwater fountain on Town Drive.
So there's going to be a stormwater fountain in the pond next to the bank to keep it aerated so it doesn't get so mucky and different things like that. And that's TID funds that are paying for that, for the, that area right there next to the bank.
Okay, definitely.
They have to have an electrical hookup before they can install the fountain in there.
Perfect. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go to C, Police Chief, Brian.
Reports in the packets, I will update the board, I did go door to door, to those residents on Oak Street that'll be impacted by the no parking, for the detour. That all went well. St. Peter and Paul just mentioned that they have some events throughout the summer, which I told them I'd work with them on, depending on, you know, how the traffic flow is and when their events are, so we'll work with them on that this summer. Just getting after some ordinance things too, now that's, it's spring, summer, I'm starting to see a lot of junk and not taking care of things, so getting after that a little bit, so. That's it.
And can you say who the scholarship went to?
Yeah, Rachel Racine.
Christine?
Yeah, Rachel Racine.
Awesome.
We were just cautious in sometimes naming students, and we actually got her permission to put the photograph on, but just because it's students in the school, we're always cautious of just putting names and things like that out there. So, but yeah, Rachel Racine. She's going to. She's going for legal or law to be an attorney. So that was the closest related. We had no criminal justice folks this year to pick from. So hopefully next year there'll be a lot more.
Okay. Anyone else have questions? Okay, we'll move to D, Library Director, and Ally's report is in the packet. And then E, Attorney, Tyler.
I'll continue to work with staff on some ongoing matters, otherwise nothing pressing at this time.
Okay. F, Administrator, Nathan.
Just working on a plethora of projects right now. Outside of that, the server transfer will be happening sometime over the next month. They're gonna start working with myself and some other staff on trying to figure out what's needed, what's not, and then hopefully implementation of that. Outside of that, new interns starting on the June 1st. So we're excited for that, and like I said earlier, July 6th is going to be the first week for official kickoff of the reconstruction in the downtown. I did go to a few businesses this morning. Some were open, some weren't, and directly handed out that schedule. I was concerned with mailing times, so there will be a public hearing sometime in the next month. And when we get that notice, I'll hand deliver those too. We'll send them out in mail as well. And then try to get that out there as much as possible. Other than that, just dealing with calls once in a while on ordinance violations and enforcement, harassment violations, and yeah.
Any questions for Nathan? Okay, we'll go to G, Building Permit Report. There's none in the packet. H, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion? Anyone? Okay, we'll go to 12, Communication and Miscellaneous Business. A, Black Otter Lake District News. Aaron?
So we had a meeting on Monday. Most of it centered around maintenance on the current harvester and just getting everything ready to go. They can start harvesting in June. So just making sure everything is tuned up and ready so they can hit the water running when that June date starts so they can start harvesting.
Any questions for Aaron? Okay, we'll go to B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News. Jim?
Nothing new.
Okay. C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News. There is none in the packet. D, Hortonville Civic Association, Jane. Okay. E, Senior Activities, Therese.
I sent a summary of what went on May 18th to your email.
How many people attended the Rob Zimmer presentation?
I think there was about 30.
30?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to 13, comments and suggestions from citizens present. Is there any? And then 14, I would need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session under state statute 19.851G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved.
Second.
Roll call, Jim.
Madam President, may I interrupt before you do that? Pursuant to state statutes, we are required to have a little bit more depth of why we're going into closed session. So before we go into closed session, there's for a City of Marinette case that does require a little bit of explanation as why we're going into closed session. So we are going into closed session for the purpose of discussing dog licensing within the village and certain requirements as it applies to the ADA and how that affects licensing fees for service dogs within the village and current disputes that are arising. So I just need to preface that for the record before we go into closed session.
Okay. Roll call, Jim.
Aye.
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 Carrie?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. 15, we need a 5-minute recess to clear the meeting room. Any action on matters discussed in closed session? There's none. 19, I would need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We are now adjourned at 8:03.